Welcome, wrestling fans, to another episode of Harrell Wrestling Talk podcast. This is episode 8. I'm Jacob Harrell.
And I'm Jonathan Harrell, and on the show today we have Sting making an appearance, Daniel Bryan catching robbers, and even some TNA talk, but don't worry, we won't talk about it for very long. But let's start the show right off with a little Raw review. Monday night started and ended with wrestling, not with wrestling, but promos. But we also got to see John Cena beat Cesaro, your boy Ziggler team with the Usos to beat Rybacksel and The Miz. Natalya and Naomi won over Cameron and Alicia Fox. Chris Jericho locked up with Seth Rollins. The WWE still has nothing new for the direction of Fandango. And two matches where their entrance actually took longer than the matches themselves. But what was your take, Jacob, on the Monday night?
It was interesting to me that they ended, and it's been a long time. It's been since Trish Stratus and Lita that they ended with a Diva feud. I thought that was fantastic. It's just that breath of fresh air that they need for it. And I'd argue, for what I've seen on Twitter, I think people are more excited for this feud than anything else. Is that what your take is?
I actually am excited, and I even got the princess to watch the end of it with me, and even though she was, oh, this is so predictable, blah blah blah, but she was still enjoying it, and I think that looking forward, that's going to be her favorite match at SummerSlam.
Yeah, and Katie watched it with me, my fiance, and she was sitting there like, "Oh!" when she dropped the mic, and it was entertaining, and that's what the problem I have with the John Cena Brock Lesnar feud is. It seems like when one's there, the other one's not going to be there. So it's Paul Heyman that's the catalyst for the rivalry, and it just doesn't build up as quick.
Now, I think anytime a McMahon name gets into matches, gets into things like this, it's gold. And on the other side of that, we ended the show with that. The start of the show, John Cena's work there, I thought was great. I thought it was an awesome start to the show as well.
Best sign I saw the whole time was "Bring back Shane O'Mac." I love that
I,
sign.
I saw that too. I thought that was pretty good.
Other than that, I mean, it was just a stereotypical Raw. There nothing really stood out to me, at least. I watched on Hulu Plus, and the beauty about Hulu Plus is you can tell what WWE really is focusing on because it's the top 90-minute stuff. And I was just sitting there and just watching it. It finished, and I was like, "Oh, that's it." Like it kind of just went through real quick. Now there's new matches added to SummerSlam. We obviously know about Cena versus Brock for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Y2J and Bray Wyatt, Real American and Rusev, AJ Lee and Paige, and Rollins and Ambrose are all rumored to have rematches from Battleground. Usos and Wyatts will add 2 more tag teams, it seems like, for the championship match. The Miz is also rumored to face Dolph Ziggler and Bo Dallas for the IC title. And lastly, and most importantly, Brie and Stephanie will be squaring off. What do you look forward to most?
We kind of already touched on the Brie and the Stephanie. I do think that just for the fact that neither of them, she hadn't wrestled in 10 years. We haven't seen Brie in a while, and I guarantee you that they're spending every day together working on something, making sure that Stephanie's not going to come out here to make a fool out of herself. But outside of that, I'm excited again for the tag team. For the Usos and the Wyatts to go out at each other, just because they've just produced awesome matches so far.
Who's the other 2 teams you would add? Probably Rybacksel
I imagine it's Rybacksel, and it'll probably be the Dust Brothers.
brothers. Yeah. Are you excited for the Intercontinental Championship match?
Yeah, I will. I will be excited for that as well. One other person I could think, maybe a Nation of Domination tag team may join in that, just to kind of maybe try to get the thing on that started. But uh, I would like to see the Miz and Dolph Ziggler just one on one with an actual legitimate chance to for a title change, but anytime anybody's wrestling Ziggler, it's almost one-sided affair.
Yeah, they plus they're not going to give it away after one title reign basically for one pay-per-view. I'm looking forward to the Y2J the Wyatt, because you kind of know that Wyatt's going to win and they're going to do something big. Expect him to cheat and cheap dirty probably to win, because they're kind of hyping up Jericho to being what he used to be, and that was a legitimate wrestler.
Now, one thing I was excited for, and not so much anymore, is the Paige and AJ Lee. I don't know if it's just gotten old to me all of a sudden, but I'm not looking forward to it as much. Well, sadly, Bo Dallas will not be making a run at Bill Goldberg's 173-0 undefeated streak with his loss to R-Truth on Monday night. Now, normally we would never talk about a loss like this in our headlines, but just the way that it went down, what's your take on it, Jacob?
I think they wasted it, because I mean, R-Truth is not someone Bo Dallas needs to lead or lose against if they want to like legitimize him as a wrestler. He needs to get away from this gimmick wrestling. If his character will work, his persona will work if he wrestles with serious people. That's how The Rock became big. If The Rock did everything Bo Dallas did, he never would have been pushed.
And it it was weird to me because every week they seem like to bring up this streak, like, hey, this is a big deal, we're bringing this up, and then for all of a sudden for it just to be over with, and I'm like, okay, well, what was the point of pushing this streak so much if you're just going to end it against R-Truth? And maybe they don't think that they like the direction, the character, and we kind of get to see like an angry side of Bo Dallas, but
Yeah, he lost on Raw too. That's the thing. If he was going to lose, I expected it to be on a pay-per-view or some on main event on the network. But I don't know. I think you're right. I think we're going to see a little bit of a change in Bo Dallas due to this.
now correct me if I was wrong, that he pretty much took this same character all the way through NXT. Am I right?
Yeah, he came originally. I don't know if that was 2 years ago against or not Bray Wyatt, sorry, Barrett, and beat him in the Rumble 2 years ago. And he was a babyface then, and then he went back to NXT and he took that character and ran with it, and the crowds ate it up. The smaller ones did.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the problem WWE has is they have a quick trigger on shutting things down. But I would like to also note Adam Rose, from what I read, he's like 15-0 in the WWE.
So I mean, I don't know, maybe. And see, that's funny because you don't hear that, but you heard every week about Bo Dallas.
The only reason I think they kept bringing it up is because you could say Bo.
Yeah.
15 and Bo, and they just wanted to keep saying that. So we have some TNA news, but I don't know if it's the news that you want to hear if you're a TNA fan. So the future's not looking good for TNA. Spike TV recently announced they are canceling the underachieving wrestling show Impact Wrestling. I'm sure Dixie Carter is frantically looking for a new network. TNA has a deal with a UK network, so TNA is not completely out of options. They will. Do you think they will get picked up by another American network?
I don't know if they will get picked up by another American network. I think that they should pack their bags and head to London, and because from what I've heard, it's a big deal over there. And why not try to capitalize on something that you're a big deal of? And I just don't see them going anywhere unless it's a local television station putting these shows on, and I think that's a step back for them, and I don't think that they're going to want to go that way.
Well, you never know. I mean, the asking price, I'm sure, is lowered a lot due to this. So you never know if a TNT has had obviously wrestling with the WWE before, so that could be an option. I really don't see him getting picked up. A lot of people read online that Spike TV did this to lower the price, and then they're actually going to buy TNA. But I think that's a little outlandish. I don't see Spike going that out with it, because it's not worth the product right now at least isn't worth it.
And see, I read a lot of stuff where people instantly thought, the show was the whole thing is canceled, and really, I mean, it's they've just losing their contract with the
Mhm.
TV, and so I know that's going to take a big hit when it comes to payroll and things like that. But they could still be around, and like I said, they're going to have to play it like what they actually are, and that's a lower level wrestling events.
Right. And I think that you're going to see really good. They're going to push the limit on the writing, everything until that contract ends because they're going to shoot for someone to pick them up if that's the case. So you're going to see probably the best TNA you've probably ever seen.
Now, do you watch TNA very often?
Nah, the last time I watched TNA, Sting and Angle was having a feud. That was a long time ago.
That's actually, I think that's the last time I watched as well, just to get on there and see Sting, and then I think I was over it.
Yeah.
The WWE announced today that Barry McMillan is their new Senior Vice President of Sales and Partnership Marketing. And it is rumored that he will be heavily involved with the WWE network. Now, McMullen has had previous work with the NBA and organizing committee for the 2002 Winter Olympics, as well as other organizations. But if you're giving him advice, Jacob, what are you going to give him to make the WWE more profitable?
I would honestly say you need to cut back on the amount of product you produce. I think that we get so polluted with all this wrestling that you almost there's just stuff coming up that I don't want to watch it as much. But my advice would be cut back, make SmackDown and main event relevant rather than just Raw reviews, and they need to have original content on the network.
And I think all of those things would help. Um, and from what I've read about this guy, I mean, I had no clue who he was, and it sounds like, I mean, he worked with the NBA, and the NBA is very high, volume when it comes to being able to put a product out there and marketing, and so anything that the WWE can do on that stance. I don't know if you should go as far as the ring apron having Mountain Dew on it, or all of a sudden you've got these light up signs hanging in the background on the Raw Titron or anything like that. But I think to get more sponsors in, you're going to have to do something like that.
And yeah, I think you'll see a lot more the Sonic product placement. You'll see more sponsorships for the pay-per-views, which is fine. But like I've said, this budget cut can't affect the product, and it's starting to affect the product. We're seeing that there's just lazy writing and different things. But I think the biggest problem right now is back when we watched it, SmackDown was a legit show. I don't think SmackDown ever showed a rewind of what happened on Raw because they were making headlines themselves, and they had The Rock, The Undertaker, big names at it. And it seems like now SmackDown is just a punishment for the younger guys, and the older guys don't have to go there.
And I'm the same way with you. I actually, since I've gotten back into wrestling, and it's been 4 years, 3 or 4 years now, I have not watched a episode of SmackDown. Just haven't done it.
A former WWE World Heavyweight Champion chased down two robbers who were suspected in robbing his home in Phoenix. Yes, yes, yes. That man was Daniel Bryan. When Daniel Bryan and Bree pulled up to their house or to their home in Phoenix, they saw robbery was happening. Bryan got out of his car, ran down one of the robbers, and subdued him till the cops showed up. Is this good press for the WWE?
I want to know if when he ran him down, if the guy turned around and Daniel Bryan gave him the flying knee, because and maybe he climbed up a tree and did diving headbutt or something. So this is an awesome story because I saw even like the media clippings on
Yeah,
this, and they even had like a press conference, and Bree was there and Daniel was there and even their dog, and so
right.
this almost looked like a planted WWE story. And so, I mean, for him to chase down a booger or two, let me bring up the conspiracy that maybe he's not injured, but I think it's great for the WWE, and I think it's great for his character in general.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have WWE's had a lot of negative publicity lately, so it's good for that. I've heard the stories that people think it's fake. He went on the news and stuff like you said, and he was talking about it. So the cops say it's real, but who knows on that? I did see a tweet that was a meme that showed the press conference photo, and it says Daniel Bryan stops a robbery, and on the bottom it showed Triple H and Stephanie. It said an A+ player would have subdued both of them. But yeah, it's great. I think Daniel Bryan, it keeps him relevant too. Not that I'm saying that it's great that his house was getting robbed, but that was a pretty BA move to go chase down the guys, and apparently nothing was stolen, so that's always good.
And I think that what you said, keeping him relevant. I've thought in the past that the best thing for him is to disappear and not be heard of and from, and come back and just surprise everybody. But at the same time, it's good to keep his name out there and keep people remembering. We had more Sting news coming from Comic-Con last week. It's still not a Raw appearance, but it's a step up from WWE's 2K15 commercial. Sting made his first live appearance dressed head to toe in vintage Sting looks. We have to be getting close to that dreamed about WWE appearance on TV. Am I right, Jacob?
I think you're right. First of all, Daniel Bryan was there at the Comic Con, and people were going crazy for him, so that's always good. But I was watching this. I was so pumped when I saw this. I grabbed Katie. I'm like, "You gotta watch this!" And I was sitting there like I was all jacked up. I could like punched like a tree and not been break my arm. And Katie's like, this is the guy you're waiting for. I'm like, you have no idea how prestigious this event was, and the crowd went crazy. So that has to show how important bringing Sting in for one match would be. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps right now. What do you think of the whole situation?
I thought, seeing the panel that they had there, how awesome would it have been to be at that conference? And you had Hulk Hogan there, you had Daniel Bryan, Paul Heyman was there, Michael Cole, and then all of a sudden, Sting just walks in the door, and so yeah, it was awesome. I hope that they go vintage WCW when he does appear on TV. Not talking just down to kick some butt, and but I'm excited for it, and I'll probably be looking for the action figure. I just to have it. So, and I'm definitely excited for the game as well.
Yeah, the promo, when you see his face, you kind of go, "Oh wow, he is old." But when you saw him at Comic Con, he looked fantastic. He looked like he was 44. I mean, that said, it's not a live event and he wasn't wrestling, but I was like, that guy doesn't look like he's 54 or however old he is.
Now, speaking of old, they had Hulk Hogan on there, and you were talking about punching a tree. He was. I know he's big muscles, but he was about as thick as a tree. I couldn't believe, just how
Mhm.
big he still is.
Mhm. All right, we have some really big news. With all the budget cuts WWE has had, they're still looking for the best talent in professional wrestling. And they hit a home run with signing New Japan star Prince Devitt. He's reported to already be at the WWE Performance Center, where Dusty Rhodes gave him a tour. The question isn't whether having him signed is a good thing. It's whether he should be in NXT, or is it okay to skip NXT and go straight to WWE?
I was thinking about this when I was reading what we were having planned, and I think that, I think it's okay. It almost says, hey, regardless of who you are, you still need to work your way up to getting to the WWE. And then, at the same time, you can just say, hey, I want to make sure you're ready. Let maybe the smaller NXT crowd base where you want to take him off of their reactions of seeing him a couple times instead of just throwing him in there almost like a Batista at the Royal Rumble saying, okay, we hope it goes this way, and so let's just throw him out there. So I don't mind it.
Yeah, I've watched some of his stuff. Actually, I knew about him before this because he dressed up in New Japan. He had a character where he would dress up as comic book characters and stuff. And he did a Joker bit, which was really cool. He's a really good wrestler, but I could see the issue we'd have of if he jumped NXT, that you have all these veterans that've been in NXT for a while, Tyson Kids that don't get pushes, but I still think WWE needs the freshness. They have all these young guys, but they need something to spark like more viewership. So I still think that it's okay to bring someone in and just throw them to WWE and bring that shock value.
Now, would you, with all the TNA talks, could you see the top guy, say at TNA, come in, sign with the WWE? Would they stick him on NXT for a couple months, or do you think he'd go straight to WWE, or do you think it's because he's a foreigner basically and maybe not familiar in the States that they're kind of working it slow?
I think for him, they're working it slow. TNA, because Lashley, he was a former WWE guy. He'd probably go straight up to WWE. Bully Ray would be WWE straight. But I think TNA, when they disband, they will pick wisely on who they pick up. I think if Jeff Hardy could keep out of drugs, I think he would be brought back in a heartbeat. But I don't think he can do it.
See, I don't think they'll probably pick up very many, just for the fact that if they wanted them, they could have them now, basically. Well, last week we were talking about The Rock and how he was answering questions about his wrestling career while doing promotions for his upcoming movie. This week it's Batista's turn as he's going around promoting for Guardians of the Galaxies. He said that he's getting to the point where he's ready to retire, but said that he would love to have a WrestleMania match where the loser retires against his buddy and kind of mentor Triple H in the future. Would you miss the animal Batista if he retired?
No, I don't know why he came back. I mean, if he wanted to be like The Rock and be a couple matches, I can understand. But he was trying to be so involved in the storyline. He's been gone for what, 2 months now, and fans have forgot about him. It's just he's not relevant anymore in today's WWE. I miss the old Batista that would just go and grab you and throw you in the table and shake the ropes, kind of like Ultimate Warrior. But I won't miss him. He did great, but not anymore.
I could see how it could go over with the fan. You can't put him in the main event spotlight when he comes back, and I'm sure he's definitely going to be coming back probably in a couple months or so. And so the whole talks of him retiring was rumored to be at his end of his contract that he's in now. But I think that if you bring him in, coming in and being like the anti-authority, going up, building him against Triple H, and that being its own thing, not for the belt, not for anything like that, I think that he could go over with the fans, and I think he could even get some cheers at the same time.
Yeah, that will be a hard transition, but with this amount of time off, it would be a hard transition, like I said. But I think that could happen. I don't see the fans forgiving him for what he kind of did, but he needs to. I bet he hates CM Punk because CM Punk leaving changed everything. Because after WrestleMania, Batista was supposed to have the title.
Now, moving into our special segment, last week we had Brad Gilmore and Matt Tobolowsky on to talk about Booker T's Reality of Wrestling iPay-per-view Summer of Champions, and the show, from what Jacob and I could see, went off great. And this week, to cap that off, we have on the Wrestling Talk hotline a former wrestler there at Reality of Wrestling and the director, Kevin Bernhardt. We want to thank you for taking some time out of your day to be on our show, Kevin.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, no problem.
Now, for the people that really aren't familiar with you, do you mind just giving, just a little brief introduction about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm in Houston, Texas now. The director for Reality of Wrestling. I used to wrestle, or still off and on wrestles under the name Kelly Kevin. Um, and I've been doing this for about close to 10 years, about 10 years now. Started pretty young, started when I was 16 years old. So, it's been a journey, but I've been wrestling with Booker since 2007, 2006, 2007, when we first opened the school. And over the years we kind of built a relationship, and now I'm working as their director and kind of right hand man of Reality of Wrestling.
Can you give us an impression of what the announcer would give, like your introduction when you come out to the ring when you used to wrestle?
All right, how did it go? From everyone's dreams and fantasies, Kelly Kevin.
Nice, awesome. So, Kevin, how'd you get connected with Reality of Wrestling?
Back in the day, it was Pro Wrestling Alliance with Booker T, and like I said, I was running around doing the indies, for about 2 or 3 years. I started training, just being a wrestler. I started really young. I was 16, still in high school. Doing all the little run indie shows, and I hooked up with Booker T. I just went to a school. I heard a thing on the radio. He was doing a grand opening at a school, and one of the guys, actually another guy that's there now at the Pride. We live in the same area. We used to wrestle together. And he, called me up and he's like, "Hey, we got to go there. We got to check it out." So we made the hour trip, and the rest is history. We started the school that day, and I've been there since 2006 now. Like I said, I wrestled a bunch of stuff around there and just, stayed on the roster and was just, working my way up. And me and Booker kind of formed a friendship and partnership, and we started Reality of Wrestling.
Now, you kind of, like we said before, the director of it, kind of what kind of role does that take? What's maybe your weekly schedule for that, or how intense is that for you?
It's a pretty much full-time job. All my buddies laugh that, I don't sleep because, yeah, it's, me and Booker, he's on the road, about 2 or 3 days a week still wrestling, and I take over the day-to-day operations of that. We also write the shows, book them, book the talent. Up until really recently, I was doing all the editing myself too. Luckily, Dojo Productions is with us now, and is really taking on a guy named Justin Smith, and really is a great guy and great at what he does. Because I'm not an editor. I've never claimed to be an editor, but when we first started, I was doing all that too. So now I can kind of take a step back and work with the talent, work with Booker more, just trying to get the show bigger and better. But yeah, Monday through Friday, I'm working on something Reality of Wrestling, and then on the weekends we're off doing shows.
Okay. So did you originally come on and it was more talent relations and editing rather than wrestling? How did the wrestling portion start?
Oh no, I started wrestling first. I've been wrestling forever. Yeah, I was on the indies, and when we first started, we didn't do TV. At Booker's. Something a lot of people don't know is we've been running for a long time. We just started running TV, but we did a brand change. We've changed the name of the company a while back. It was the Pro Wrestling Alliance, and in that I wrestled on it. Exclusively just as a wrestler. I didn't have any hands-on at anything. I did that from 2006, 2007 to I'd say 2010, 2011, and then we changed to Reality of Wrestling, and I was doing some music videos just for the company. I just was like, hey, I know a little bit about editing, not much, and we just need some stuff on YouTube just to highlight some of the shows. So I was doing a little editing, and me and Booker have gotten a little bit closer and a little closer. Just I've been there so long, and just as a wrestler, and we just think a lot alike of the way we put together matches and things like that. So I would help out a little here and there, but eventually we decided we were going to go a new route, and we were going to try and make one big run. So because PWA was doing really, really well, and then it started just kind of Booker was so busy, he didn't have time, to run just a day-to-day operation. So things started sliding, getting through the cracks, and crowds were going down. So we kind of sat in the office one day. There's another guy that he's not wrestling right now anymore. He retired now, but Gustavo Mendoza, who was one of our champions, he It's me, him, and Booker in the office, and like, all right, we either need to do something big or close the doors. You know, like we got to do one or the other. And we decided to rebrand the company, make it Reality of Wrestling, go, you know, do a lot of little reality segments on the TV show and things like that. But, you know, just kind of a rebranding and new life. And that's when I started becoming director, and I stopped sleeping.
Now, when you were wrestling and directing, I know you're taking some time off of the wrestling side, but how difficult was that to, do both of them? Did you ever have any moment where, you're kind of like, hey, I'd make a great champion, and we'll just throw me the belt, and
Yeah, I've always been pretty good about that part of it. I've never, I was, for being on the wrestling side of it so long and being so young starting, you always saw that. You know, every booker, everybody was always the champion, or always in a big storyline. And you always hated it. So, that part of it was never a big deal to me because it's never been all about glory with me. My biggest reason for kind of taking a step back was just there's not enough hours in the day. If I'm wrestling on the show, I'm worried about my own match and stretching and getting ready and working with my opponent. And I'm also working with, 8 other matches, trying to tell them what they, little things they can do, or, how to help, or, little things like that, put together things. And, there's just not enough time in the day of a show day to do all of those things and worry about your own match and make sure it's up to par.
Mm-hmm.
And then, also working on the tech side of it, I'm, running back and forth, on the headsets, trying to call to our, camera guys or this or that. So, like, there's not enough time, there's not enough. But we are with, I said, with Dojo Productions involved, more heavily. Hopefully I will be back in the ring within the next, I'd like to say 6 months.
Okay. So building off that question, Booker T, obviously, he's been with 2 really good promotions, WCW, which kind of failed on him, and then WWE. How much of an impact has those experiences for him helped with all the directing of the company?
It's so, big. It's so big to have somebody that's been there, and been to the big game, the big shows. He knows how things are supposed to run, and also knows how things aren't supposed to run, So it's really been a big thing of just having, Booker. You see a lot of companies that try and do, little TV shows. They try and do events, and they just never quite come off right because they don't have somebody that's been there and done it. So having Booker there and teaching me, all the little things that he's learned over the years, it's just been priceless.
Yeah. Now, to move on to basically last weekend, you guys had your first iPay-per-view, and we just wanted to find out as well how much planning went into that, and preparation into creating Summer of Champions.
That was our first big. We always say we've had a couple of big breaks and a couple of things we've really done. Christmas last year, we had Christmas Chaos, which is, it's a yearly event we've always done, since PWA, and this was Christmas Chaos 7. And it was, it was a big night because, the month before, crowds were kind of low. And, we brought in, for this show, we decided, all right, let's do a big show. Let's do something, memorable. We brought in the Usos, Michael Cole, Shelton Benjamin, Boogeyman, there's a couple of, Booker's really good friends and stuff like that. And, the crowd was crazy. It was a big, burst of adrenaline for us. And also the next, 2 weeks later, we got a TV deal. So it was just a big, and this is kind of our second one. We look back and like, man, this was our big shot in the arm to go to another level. But it took a lot of work. It was, I say we started about 3 months out, and we did nothing but thought about Summer of Champions, every little minute detail of it. We've never done anything on pay-per-view or iPay-per-view. We didn't know how to do the money PayPal situations, this, that, the other. It was also our first live edit show. Normally, we take it, we edit it, we take it back to, the studio, and we edit it from there. But this was pretty much what you see is what you get. Everything was a live stream, shot, even though we didn't go live. The pay-per-view wasn't live. We waited 24 hours just in case anything happened. We wanted to have a backup, fail-safe. But what you saw was what you got. And it was nerve-wracking. We did a lot of rehearsals with our tech crews and stuff like that. But really, everybody pulled it off, and I thought the show came off phenomenal.
So going off of that also, how much promotion and promoting did it take? Obviously through Twitter and stuff, I see all the time everyone promoting it. We even promoted it a lot. We got obviously some people on here for the show. So how much promotion value went into it?
That was a big one for us. We have some really, really great sponsors now. We have you'll probably seen the commercials and seen some of the stuff. Walker Texas Lawyer, Hilton, Lewis Diamonds. We've got so many great sponsors, and they really stepped up for this because there's been a lot of companies that try to do big shows and some fall foul in their face. We had commercials running on TV, on Raw and SmackDown. God bless Booker. He did probably, I want to say 50 podcasts and radio interviews and media tour things a week. He didn't sleep either, which was a big thing. Like, he wanted to make sure that I knew that he was working as hard as anything. So he'd call me every day, and he'd be like, all right, I just got done with this one, this one, this one, and this one. He's like, I'm going to this one and this one and this one. He's like, we're on this. So, we really decided to take that, last month of our lives and really just, spend every waking hour, working on Twitter, getting newspaper, we did a lot of little meet and greets and things like that around town. So we did as much as we could, and luckily, it somewhat paid off. So I was, I was happy.
Yeah, on Twitter, real quick, we had one of our followers, Hope, say that Mysterious Q was the best looking guy in reality, and I threw your name out there, and she said no. So.
Now, to you, what was the biggest success for Summer Champions? Was it just pulling it off, and just that in general, or do you have something certain that really stood out to you the most?
I was really, it's over the last year and a half, 2 years now, like, since I've kind of taken more of the director side, about a year and a half now. A lot of these guys have just, I've known them forever, but also, I'm really proud because some of them stepped up so much. Guys like Mysterious Q, watching that end, watching him and Diamond Dallas Page, and him kind of, even in the back, kind of being like, hey man, you've got the cutter. He was like, that's you, like, that was a really cool moment, and that's a really cool moment for him, and and I'm proud of him. The finish of that match was ridiculous. I was terrified all day, but yeah, it's just like everything. You're just sitting there, what can go wrong?
Yeah, you can't practice that too much.
No, that's a one-time thing. There was no, all right, let's give it a shot first. That's a one-time thing. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, this thing goes off awful. But I've known Serious Q for years and years now, and he's phenomenal. You can pretty much ask him to do anything, he can do it. So but at the end of the day, it was Monday, Monday morning, or Sunday morning. I got up, and it was a long day, and got 3 hours of sleep, and finally that upload was complete. Me and Justin sat and watched it, and it was just kind of that first 10 minutes. We're like, man, we actually pulled this off. Called Booker. He was on the road, and he had to leave right after to go do Raw. But it was kind of one of those we just kind of sat and reflected for a little while. It was like, man, I can't believe all the hard work paid off.
All right, so let's dig into the pay-per-view a little bit. We both watched it. I loved it. What do you think the match of the night was?
I would have to say Pride versus Ryan Davidson went out there and really, in my mind, put everything they had into that match. I've known, again, like I said, me and Pride started together. It's a love-hate relationship. We've been best friends, and we've been, pretty close to enemies. But he's such a talented guy, and Ryan is just phenomenal. I've always said it's a shame that he's not on TV yet, in WWE or TNA. But those two guys went out there and rocked the house. Of course, Mysterious Q in my mind was the standout, as an individual. But yeah, I have to go with Ryan and Pride. What about y'all? What was your favorite match?
I definitely liked the main event, and like you said, the ending. I really thought that he was going to go up there and maybe just do some kind of body slam, and for him to come out and do his finishing move like that from the top, I mean, it was amazing, and it definitely capped the night off.
Yeah.
For me, I have two things. The first one was Abel Andrew Jackson, did
Yeah.
he always wear his pants underneath his suit like that?
That was the first one. That was the first one.
I was laughing because I saw that. I'm like, I bet he always does that. For
No,
me, I love.
Yeah. That was a surprise to all of us. He didn't tell us about that. He just wanted to make us laugh when we got in the back. So that was a really good one. I like that.
For me, and I told Bryan I'd throw this out there. I call him KG. So Keith and Gresham. I like their little tag team. They have the same wrestling style, which in turn is really good when they're partners. So Bryan was over with the crowd for sure because they were holding up signs that Bryan Keith's my baby daddy. I couldn't get over that.
Yeah, no, he's such a phenomenal guy. Such a phenomenal athlete. He's really young. He's not too long in the business and just gets it. He's one of those guys that I brought over because he was working in the promotion, and I was like, man, you've got to come over here. You've got to get on TV. So we sat, and he's just been phenomenal. He's a hard worker. Anybody that's seen Gresham at his best is, Gresham's amazing. Things that kid can do is phenomenal too. So they really, I have to say one of my other favorite parts, kind of gets glossed over a little bit because it's the opener, but Devon went out there and worked. Devon treated it like it was, a WWE pay-per-view. So, I known Devon for years and years too. Like, so many of these guys that are around here that, wrestle around with books, we've all been together for, 8 years now. And Devon's been around since the beginning too. He was in an original feud back in PWA that I was involved with. So, like, I'd go way back with Devon and Bubba. And, it's just those guys have been really great, and they really stepped up and helped us out.
Now, for the people that have missed out really and haven't got to watch the iPay-per-view yet, can you just let them know where they can find that and how they can go about doing that?
Yes, it's at realityofwrestling.com, and all you do is go to the shop section and you hit order now. It'll send you a link and a password. Type in a password, and you're getting to watch it. It's only $4.99. We really didn't want to make it. It's our first time. We want to go really just very affordable for everybody. We just want to get the show out there and people can see it and kind of see what we do. From global, I saw people in the UK had ordered it, England, London, it was, all over the world. I had someone from Japan text me, or send me a tweet, saying they love the show. So it's been really good that it's been getting a little bit of a worldwide audience.
And especially with the price, I mean, you can't beat that. You can go out and waste money on something that's $4.99, where this, you get solid 2 hours of good programming, and so
2 hours of great wrestling. There's so much stuff to me, like great wrestling, young wrestlers that are really going out there and killing it. And also some stars that come out and really, Gender coming out and trying to redefine his career. He's all on board here at Reality of Wrestling, trying to, kind of, get away from 3MB and really, go back to his roots and try and make another big run, so he chose here to do it, which is very, such an honor. Carlito, trying to make, a good run. So we talked recently and, him and Booker talked and he was like, hey, let me try and, so all these guys that are coming here to try and kind of, make us feel really good, something special.
Now, what's the next big event for Reality of Wrestling?
It's coming up quick. The next TV taping is August 9th. We just announced it today, so it's coming up real soon. August 9th, the next TV taping. We tape 3 shows in one taping, so it's, good 2 hours of, live action event. And, we're hoping, like I said, all these guest surprises, but, hopefully in the next few days we'll have some announcements on, what's going to be happening at that show. And we've just been recovering from this, but we're hitting the ground running and going to the next one. So, but if you go to realityofwrestling.com, you can always see all the updates of, upcoming matches for each taping that we have and upcoming events.
Awesome. So, where can our fans connect with you, like with social media?
Yeah, well, you can go to KK/Bern, BERN, and you can also, it's Kelly Kevin, and also Kevin Neil Bernhardt, BERNHARDT on Facebook. I'm more of a Facebook person. I know it's the Facebook versus Twitter. But, if you go to Kevin Bernhardt, you can find me on Twitter or on Facebook, and I'll add anybody. I'm a pretty social person. So, Yeah, those are my biggest ones, and you can go to the Booker T ROW on YouTube, and that's where a lot of our extra content goes. And you can also watch our show if you go to Soul of the South TV. You can watch our weekly TV show.
Well, we want to thank you again for passing up, some sleep to come on here and do just a little interview.
Hey, we really appreciate the support. You guys have been great. We really appreciate all the support you've been having in reality of wrestling. Tweeting things, posting stuff. Really positive things. We really appreciate that. We're a very humble and small little company that's trying to do something big. So all of our, anybody that's helping, we really try and go back and help them any way we can. It's a mom and pop organization. That's how we've always looked at it. We're just trying to do something big with it.
Well, we hope to have you back on, later in the future, and you're welcome anytime you want to come on as well.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate you guys.
Yep, remember us when you hit the WWE in the future.
I will. We will be doing another podcast.
Now, moving on to our What to Watch on the WWE Network, we had a new WrestleMania Rewind, revisiting WrestleMania 2000s with the Hardys and Dudleys and Edge and Christian all going on for the tag team titles. And they also have a new countdown, which is the top finishing moves. Have you been able to check any of those out or see anything exciting on the countdown lately?
No, I haven't checked either of those out. I didn't know because I don't keep up with what the WrestleMania rewinds are, but that's an awesome match. That's one of those matches I think people underestimate the importance of because that changed the whole aspect of the TLC match and how incredible that match was at Mania. Have you watched that match before?
I haven't. I've seen the match. I haven't got to see either one of these. I've been busy at work, and so I definitely need to play some catch up. But like you said, I mean, they've created a pay-per-view just based on this match in general.
What's your number one finishing move?
Finishing move, big rock guy. So I'm gonna go the rock bottom. I know that's probably not everybody else's choice, but that's going to be mine. What's yours?
I know Austin probably is number one. I loved the torture rack. I want someone to bring it back. Cesaro did for a little bit, and he even turned it into a power bomb. He torture racked him and then threw him into a power bomb. But that's what I want to bring it back.
If you would watch Total Divas, you can see the Bella twin, Nikki. She does the torture rack, so she may be your favorite new diva. Moving on to WWE Shop, like we kind of announced last week, we are now an official affiliate. You can go to our website and there's a link that you can click, take you right to the store and purchase items and support our show. It's going to cost the same amount regardless if you buy it there or not. We had a couple new things actually this week that came out. Dean Ambrose has got an unstable shirt. We have Roman Reigns getting his first shirt as well, One versus All. And also saw, speaking of the Bella Twins, some Brie mode and some new Bella Twins gear. Anything that stood out to you, Jacob? Are you going to be wanting to get the unstable Dean Ambrose shirt, or?
No, I don't think if I was going to get one, I like the Roman Reigns. That's a really nice shirt. I guarantee you we'll be seeing a lot of ladies getting the unstable shirt, and that's what it seems like on Twitter. But I'll tell you what, I've always been a Bella fan, the Bella Twins. I would love to get a shirt if they actually came in guy sizes, but I don't know if they do. They all look like they're...
I think they do. I think they have men's as well, but I saw on Twitter somebody already bought a Dean Ambrose shirt and they took it, and why you would do this after you just bought it, but they crossed out some of the letters, and instead of unstable, they with big red marker it said unstoppable. And so I thought that was pretty cool, but
they actually do come out with the men's shirt for it says Brie mode and the Bella's O2 and Fearless Nikki, so I was corrected.
There you go. That. Why don't you support the show and buy a Fearless Nikki shirt?
I would support the show and get a Stink shirt first, but I think Beyonce would come up here and slap me like Brie does to Stephanie.
Well, birthdays and anniversaries of the week. We have one birthday we're going to announce. Brother Devon Dudley. You got to see him at Reality of Wrestling Summer of Champions iPay-per-view if you watched that. His birthday's on the first, which actually today, and he is 41 years old, and he didn't look like he was 41 at the iPay-per-view. What anniversaries do we have?
All right, this is a controversial anniversary. I actually saw this and it made me laugh because I remember I didn't necessarily watch it live, but I watched it soon after because we were a little bit younger. Val Venus got his PP cut off on August 3rd's Raw in 1998. I can remember this. I remember, and it was always going to be burned in my mind, him standing there with the sword, and you just see Val Venus's back, swing the sword down, and poof, TV goes black.
It's amazing how low the WWE went at that time from that, and with Mark Henry and
Sexual chocolate.
yeah, and the girl, the old grandma, I can't even think of her name now, having a baby together, and all the different stuff that they did. But what a anniversary for that. Well, as we continue to improve and add more features to our show, we have added a message line, and we're really excited about this. Every week we've been trying to do Twitter questions, and just to expand that more and include members of the audience, we've created this message line, and the phone number that you need to call, 317-759-4201. Call that number, listen to the message, leave a voicemail, and we're going to try our best to answer it on the show. And that phone number is at our Twitter location, our website, hwtpodcast.com. You can find it, and like I said, you can call anytime you want. You got a question to ask us, and we would love to answer it. So our first question of the message line, and we will go ahead and play that and see what you think, Jacob.
Hey, this is Mark and Jesse. Say hi, Jesse.
Hi.
From @Pan Podcast, PAN Podcast. What do you guys think? Do you think TNA is still going to tape their shows in August? That's our question. Good luck with the show tonight.
All right. Well, I think with TNA, I think they will continue to film in New York. It's a situation they will continue their contract till it's over with. Once their contract's over with, they'll dissolve their engagements after the contract. So it's a matter of when does that cancellation take place for me.
Now we introduced the message line later in the week, so really just that one question right now, but we did get another question on Twitter. And what was that, Jacob?
We got a message from Matt Turmoil, one of our buddies that does a podcast. You can view his podcast at mattturmoil.podbean.com. He tweeted one aspect of WCW you'd like to see in WWE product today.
I would love to see them bring in big stars from other places, and that's not possible because they are the flagship, and it's not like you can bring in a Lex Luger, bring in a Kevin Nash and Scott Hall to showcase. So since that's just really just out of the picture, I would say the more realism. You had a show, and I know it hurts with the internet and the media, you can find out just about anything anymore, but the thought of, hey, could this be real? Is this really happening? What's going on? I would love them to bring the WWE back into that.
Yeah, I'd like to see a little bit more edgier product because WCW always pushed the issue on what the norm was and went beyond it, but that actually was their ultimate downfall too. They went too extreme towards the end of their tenure too.
So you're hoping that John Cena will get his PP cut off on the next week's episode of Raw.
That would be fantastic. Sorry, Nikki, there's no Fearless Nikki anymore.
Closing out our episode for the day, we're going into our challenges and leaving thoughts. Jacob, I'm going to put 30 seconds on the clock, and what's your challenge for the day?
My challenge for the day is going to go out to John Cena. My challenge is, John, how can you stay relevant with us if you're going to take as much time as you're looking at taking off? So how can you yourself be better at whether it's internet, whether it's coming on the screens? I think John Cena really needs to step up here because he's slowly losing stock. And if Bryan was around, I don't think John Cena would be the number one baby face anymore.
I kind of agree with some of that, but what I'm going to spend my 30 seconds on this week is, I know you're a subscriber to Hulu Plus. I am actually not, and I can't stand Hulu Plus. I've got a free trial of it right now just to get caught up on a show that myself and the princess like, Raising Hope, and I cannot stand Hulu Plus. I am paying for a subscription for garbage, for commercials in the middle of the shows, not even to see the full entire Raw episodes. What else are you planning on doing? I mean, it's bogus. Hulu Plus needs bought out by Netflix. Get them off the market. Well, and if you haven't had a chance yet, go to realityofwrestling.com and definitely check out the iPay-per-view Summer of Champions. It's only $4.99, and we once again want to thank all the Reality of Wrestling, from Brian Keith to the commentators Matt and Brat and Kevin that came on our show today.
Thank you for listening to Harrell Wrestling Talk. Listen and watch our next podcast every Friday. We would love to have fan interaction, so follow us at Twitter at HWT Podcast, like us at Facebook at HWT Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, HWT Podcast. Feel free to give feedback, corrections, and any advice is always welcome. We would love to have sponsorships. You can contact us at Harrell, Harrell, Wrestling Talk at Outlook.com. Last advice we will give you before we leave: if your girlfriend, wife, boyfriend, or husband says you watch too much wrestling, tell them that's impossible. Till next time, Wrestling World, keep listening and keep watching.